Hello, world. This is the Brother to Brother Show. I'm your host, KMO. Thank you for taking this journey with us with real men, real problems, real solutions. Let's go. All right, we're back to the Brother to Brother Show. I'm your host, KMO. I'm here with a good friend of mine by the name of Jabori. Thank you for being on the show, Jabori.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this for almost a year now, and we wanted to. I thought this is a good opportunity for you to kind of tell your story about where you've been, how you got to where you are right now. But our topic today will be geared around how to do a startup business. And so, if you want to just talk a little bit about, what should some of the, why you decided to do a business, and a little bit about yourself to start us off with.
Okay. So, I think, one, thanks for having me, on the podcast. I really love what you're doing, and I'm a big fan of your message and just what you're trying to convey to the masses, in particular in our community.
Right.
I think, as far as back as I can remember, and anybody who asks my mother, she'll tell you the same thing. One of the main things that she always told me early on was that, one, I had a problem with authority, and two, that I should start my own business, because that problem with authority would eventually, butt heads with people who were trying to dim my light or potentially intimidated. And this was since I was 10 years old, maybe even earlier.
Right.
For the thing with me is that when you're a visionary and you can kind of, really see that at a young age, you really want to be able to identify the things that you're passionate in.
Right.
And, my marketing teacher at school where I went to college said, you need to identify what your passions are and then learn how to monetize them. And so that's really important, especially as a startup, and then growing your business into a small business, because there are going to be days where you're just taking tremendous losses and L's, and you will, be tired from putting in the work, the 16-hour days, etc. But you'll have to keep going. Failure. I hate those people that tell you, failure is not an option. No, failure is a part of the win and a part of the success. So, those are the kind of the important things on what really got me to, start my business, my businesses, and then, really to kind of continue to push forward, and then ultimately leave corporate America to do entrepreneurship full time.
Right. So if you were talking to a young person about starting, because I work with young people, and like they say that same thing all the time, what would be some things that you would automatically say to a young person, especially like high school age, going into, do they need to go to college? Like, is that a misconception? Do they need to be able to have that degree behind them? How does that business degree has helped you? Do you feel like it's helped you? Or, nowadays they say kids don't have to go to college. But when we were growing up, that was what the big push was. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to answer your question, I think what matters most is the fact that it's individual by individual. When I went to college, I was a kid from Inglewood on the south side of Chicago, so I needed to be polished. I needed to be, refined in the way that I communicate, in the way that I network with individuals, even in the way that I dress and present myself. So college absolutely was important for me. And then from a cultural and historical standpoint, as it relates to like family and things of that nature, that was really important, because that was something that was instilled in me early on. However, moving forward to individuals these days, it really is a self and individual decision. But I feel like that everybody should at least attempt to go to school and see if that's something for them. But this generation is huge on entrepreneurship.
Right.
A lot of things that I learned that I apply in my day to day with my particular businesses, I did learn in school. But there are a lot of different courses and certifications that you can get now without going to college that can prepare you. But nothing really beats experience. And when I say experience, I'm talking on-the-job experience. So if you're a photographer, if you're a graphic designer, one of my nephews is an engineer by trade. He's in the engineering program at down south at FAMU, but he has honed his skill in photography as well as graphic design and is becoming an individual that is to be reckoned with, especially now that he's monetizing it. So it has to be individual decision, but it also has to be a situation where that's backed up by a track record of being successful within the space that you're trying, or the vertical that you're trying to be in. So that would kind of be my 2 cents on that matter.
So why do you think it would be, even in your experience, what made you say, I know you said from an early age, but I'm sure you've come in contact with other people who have gone down a path of working first. At what point do you say, yeah, this is it, I need to start my own business?
Well, for me, I've worked for 2 of the top 3 global companies in the world, 3M and Johnson & Johnson. But I think the differentiator was an organization that I was with for over 9 years. And I started to really get the feeling that, I knew that I was smarter than these individuals that were above me, and they were making dumb decisions. So I took that calculation and said, hey, I'm spending a lot of time throughout the week helping someone else build their dream and build their company. And I'm confident in my abilities to, make a success out of my dreams and my ideas. I had already had a couple things in play. And I just said, forget it. I'm going to really go dive in head first, and really go after these business verticals that that I had identified, whether it was in entertainment and sports, real estate, tech, cannabis, you name it. I've had my hand and continue to have my hand on the pulse of what's next from a burgeoning market perspective. So I think that would probably be the best answer to your question.
Now, give me some, I know we're talking about how do you do the startup, but what are some things that, like, we're going to talk about things you shouldn't do, or maybe those things that you came in contact with while you were starting your business that you wish you would have known before this? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing that you shouldn't do, I think integrity and ethics is so important. I think, that's something that kind of gets overlooked in today's society, because a lot of people skip the stairs and take the elevator up, and they miss those experiences and lessons and the hard work that it comes from taking the stairs. But there are situations, particularly in the industries that I'm in, that, sometimes, you can be put in a situation where your ethics will be challenged, but you have to keep your integrity. You have to keep a high moral character, and you have to stay true to yourself. And as the old adage goes, all money ain't good money. So I think the lessons that I've walked away with, even to this far, do right by people. Keep your integrity above anything, even when there's a bag staring at you, and it's going to change your situation in your life. Your integrity, your character is paramount above anything. And I think if you approach every situation, every client, every business deal like that, you'll be fine. And so those are the don'ts. Don't sacrifice your character and your integrity and your ethics for anyone and any amount of money.
Okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that, but I think those are things, like you said, things that people don't really think about that probably came your way that you were able. Any examples that you can give around that, or a situation that you're willing to share?
Sure, absolutely. I work with within a lot of entertainment space and with athletes, and these guys have mass amounts of money. I work with some individuals that make $300,000-$400,000 every 2 weeks, and I can recall one of my clients sending me a double payment. And it was for about $10,000 for that particular month.
Right.
And he didn't notice it was gone because he's making $400,000 or $500,000 a month. So 10,000 missing is not really a big thing to him.
Right.
And so,
but to us, it would. You're like, wait, I need to know this.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait, he wasn't supposed to send me that. And then I sent it back. But he never responded. So I guess he never even saw the Zelle payment to go back. And so it was just sitting in the account. So when I checked it again, like a week and a half later, it was still in my account. So I was like, I guess he's not missing this. But I had to call him and be like, hey, man, you sent me a double payment and I sent it back to you. So I need you to accept that.
Yes.
That payment.
Right.
And so, when you're dealing with athletes and entertainers and things like that, there's a lot of money being transferred, especially digitally. And so, in that situation, I know some people who would have, just kept the money because he's not going to miss it, in their opinion. But you got to be, you got to, again, keep those ethics and that integrity that you bring to every situation. And I think, that's something that separates me from everybody else in this industry, whether it's sports, whether it's real estate, or even entertainment, is that you just got to continue always to maintain your integrity.
Okay. How did that turn out for you, though? Was he very appreciative of it, or this is for our listeners?
Yeah, he absolutely was. He actually gave me a bonus because of that at the end of the year that I wasn't expecting, for half of that to be in the bonus that he gave me at the end of the year. So, and he really recognized that. But I think a lot of my clients and even the people that I work with on a regular basis, they recognize that, because there are a lot of situations that you're put in that you can either turn your back on people or backstab people or go to the news with personal information about folks that you don't even like. But, at the end of the day, it's really about, like I said, and I'm going to keep reinforcing that, about your character and your integrity. So he was very appreciative for my honesty on that one. And it paid off. And
right.
Sometimes it doesn't pay off.
Right.
Sometimes you get burned for it, but you have to, again, be committed to that integrity.
Okay. Now, what are some big things that you felt like helped you? We talked about don'ts, but things that you should do during that time, like that you were, you just started, but you felt like these 2 or 3 things really helped me during these times that maybe you have gotten from a university that you went to, you got from your master's program that you felt like, or you may have heard from somebody that you, that was in the same line of business. What were some of those things that you feel like really stood out to you that you're glad you had when you were, starting up with this business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most important lessons that I've learned from Calvin Andrews, who's like a super agent and a legend in the basketball arena, is to really understand how your appearance and your reputation supersedes you in all facets of the business and what you do. And, that's something that I take to heart on a regular basis, something that I give thought to whenever I'm working with someone new or whenever I identify an individual that, I want to network with, but they may have questionable character or a past. I always try to figure out, what are those, what's the fallout with me potentially working with this individual, and I've, another situation that I can shed some light on is a player that I had an opportunity to work with, but him and a guy who I, really look at as a brother, were no longer business partners. So, my loyalty and integrity, as it relates to that particular brother, kept me from working with that client. So, that's a good example to me on understanding that your reputation precedes you, understanding that you have to build up the credibility to really go into these meetings and ask for what you're worth, and then making sure that your business practices, whether it's your contract or delivering on the things that you said that you can do, that you execute those very well.
Can you talk a little bit about credibility? How does one go about gaining that? What do you feel like you did to do that?
Yeah, so a euphemism that I go by on a regular basis, and I tell it to any young person that I interact with, is under promise and over deliver. I'm not an individual that's going to go into these meetings with these athletes or these entertainers or anybody and say, "Oh, I can do this and I can do that," and not deliver on it. So I like to tell them, man, I'll try to work on that, and I'll see what I can do with having a high degree of confidence that I can execute that for them. But I always make sure that I under promise and I over deliver, and that's how I feel like you build credibility with an individual. And that's really important, because if you crash your credibility early on, then it's going to be a long uphill battle for you as a business person and as a young entrepreneur.
Awesome. So you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but was there ever a time, and you can just think about our listeners who are really trying to do entrepreneurship or want to work on by themselves? What are some things, or that thing that you felt like, yeah, this is it, I can't do this anymore? Have you ever had those times, and what would be some examples and things that help you get through them?
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of a wide receiver, pretty high profile wide receiver some years ago that I was working with behind the scenes, and he was consistently not listening and delivering on the things that we had identified in the strategy for him to work on. And, he was constantly in the news for, bumping his head, I'll say, and things of that nature. And so I just kind of had to do a calculation where I was like, man, this is not worth the damage to my reputation, especially if the brother is not going to listen, which is his prerogative. I tell anybody, whether they're a client or mentee or friend, like, you have the ability not to listen to my advice. That is your decision. But I also reserve the right to disengage as a friend, as a consultant, or as a mentor. So I think that would probably be a good situation to kind of identify and say, oh, I had to walk away, and it just wasn't worth it to me.
Right. So build on that too. But what about a personal, even in your business? Was there ever a time in your business that you wanted to just say you quit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd say I probably have. If anybody tells you that, that any entrepreneur tells you that they have not thought about, quitting or just closing up the business at least once or twice a month, then they're probably not being truthful with you. And so, self-doubt is a part of the process. And those who overcome that self-doubt and continue to march forward are the ones that are usually the most successful in entrepreneurship and even in life. And so, absolutely, I've dealt with, doubting my progression, my abilities to, elevate and amplify in the particular verticals that I'm working in. So, yeah, man, that's a part of it.
Okay. I'm writing something down that I want to kind of mention. So, last point that I wanted to talk about. We're in a time where people are working from home. People are not as engaged as physically with one another. But what would you say during those hard times that you kind of like piggyback on what you just mentioned about the self-doubt, doubting yourself? What helped you get through that? And during rough times like right now, and during that time when you felt like, how do I get past this period? Like, what did you do for yourself or other people that you've talked to?
Well, I think each individual is different. One of the things that I do is, especially at the end of the year to prepare for the next year, is write my different goals down. And I think that's important. And I think speaking things into existence is a real thing.
Right.
And so, I'm a highly confident individual. But I think that anybody's confidence can be shaken when you're becoming an entrepreneur. It's totally foreign to what you're used to, especially if you're a mid six-figure type of individual. And so, I think those are some things that are really important to remain confident. Meditate. That's something that's gotten me through a lot of hard personal and entrepreneurial situations, is meditating, focus, setting an intent for what I'm going to do that day, and then really pushing forward with my goals. That's something that's really important. But just really understanding that mental health, especially in these times that we're going in right now, we're in the midst of this pandemic, and there are a lot of people who are going through a lot of different mental issues. So I think recognizing that and then understanding how to balance that mental, destabilization is really important. And then picking up whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, or what have you, just really understanding ways about yourself that can get you out of that rut. And then once you're out of that rut, you got to get back to it, get back to going after the bag.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing with that. I have one. So as you've been speaking and shedding a light on how to start up a business, and you talking from your personal experience and life with your business, I've jotted some things down, and as one of our listeners to kind of really jot things down themselves, because I really think it's just very important. I kind of try to dissect what you said and write down the 6 things that you need to have to have a successful business. So the first thing I heard you say, and I kind of put them in chronological, I put them in order based off of what I thought were the priority. It may be different for different folks, but I'm gonna speak to it. So the first thing that I had on my list is to believe in yourself, right? To believe in yourself and be positive. And the only way you can do that also is have good people around you, positive people around you, good energy, things of that nature to make sure your business is successful. The second thing I heard you say was, again, it's not you've mentioned a lot of different things, but this is just in my list, is the drive. You have to have the drive. You have to have the push. You have to have the passion for whatever it is you want to have your business on and to stand on, right? The third thing I have is making sure that you have an internship or you have some type of work-based experience within the field in which you're going into to speak about it, right? So having work, that's very, very important when you're talking about doing the business that you want to do, is to have some type of experience with that, to speak to other folks about your business. The fourth thing I have is your brand and your look, right? And appearance. So your brand is your look. However you look when you step outside every day, that's your brand. If you are an entrepreneur, you are the brand. So you have to make sure that
perception is reality. Absolutely.
There you go. Number 5, I have networking / credentials / mentorship. So making sure that you have the credentials to speak on it, to make sure that you have the networking around you so people can talk good about you, as well as the mentors around you too, to support you during that time. So it might be a board for some companies, but having those strong people around you, again, that goes back to kind of number 1, to have a positive people, but more so in a professional light of which your business stands on. And then the last thing is to make sure that you have the mental health. Those are all the things that we just talked about, and I kind of jotted those things down as you were speaking, and I hope our listeners really got that, because I really think it's important for folks, as young people or people who are just starting a business, to understand like these 6 things that Jabori has kind of mentioned during our conversation are all fast. Every business has to follow those things, as well as if you want to put them in your list, in your priority list. But I also feel like these are good things to kind of start off with, and also for the longevity of your business. So
absolutely.
With that said, brother, thank you again for agreeing to be on the Brother to Brother show, where we do a lot of talks with young men of color and women, and talk around this thing called life. And you can follow us also on tomorrowsmen.com, as well as making sure that you follow us on Instagram. So again, thanks again, Jabari. We want you on again, and we appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Please know we love you. Work with us, be with us, and know we're coming from the heart. This is the Brother to Brother show.